White people are afraid of black people. They are afraid of us. And it's a very interesting thing because black people know it. We know white people are afraid. But you have to start getting into the psychology. What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid?
When you run away, you're a coward. And that's a real cowardly act.
White people are obsessed with black people. Two things. Number one, the demographic that is the most afraid of the specific demographic that I'm talking about, they're the only demographic that will go up to the danger because they hate it so bad. Does that even make sense to you? Second thing, the demographic that wants the most attention is the most afraid to be seen. Meaning, when a white person is driving and they notice a black person is across from them and they are afraid to make a turn, left or right, they are afraid that the black person is perceiving them and sees them as an idiot, which 9 times out of 10 they are. But at the end of the day, it always rings true. White people are absolutely obsessed with black people.
My dad used to say this. You can't beat white people at anything. Never. But you can knock them out. Like if you have 6 and the white guy has 5, he wins. If you're black, you can't let it go to the judge's decision because you're going to lose no matter how bad you beat this man up. You know, Larry Holmes, Jerry Cooney is the perfect example of life. Larry Holmes beats the shit out of this guy for 11 rounds. He knocks him out in the 11th round. They had to stop the fight. The man is bloody. He's been beaten the whole fight. They go to the judges' scorecards. Larry Holmes is losing the fight. If he didn't knock him out, he would have lost the title. And that is essentially the black experience. You're always black. There's always going to kind of be an overreaction one way or the other regarding your presence, be it good or bad. Just when you let Jackie Robinson in baseball, that doesn't mean it's equal. Baseball statistically isn't equal almost until the 70s. And you know, and why do I say the 70s? Because that's when you started to see bad black baseball players. The true equality is the equality to suck like the white man. That's really Martin Luther King's dream coming true, is guys sucking. I watch the Oscars. Okay, these are the people that made the good movies. What about the people that made the bad movies? That's most of the industry. I want to be like that. Not that I want to be bad, but I want the license to be bad and come back.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching my videos from. Welcome back to my YouTube space. I love you so much. Returning subscribers, thank you so much. New subscribers, I love you so much. Tell me what you think I should change so that I can align with your quality and your values. Now, in today's video, it's not a threat. What I'm going to speak is not a threat. It's a shift, a global shift. And that shift, it's making a lot of people uncomfortable, particularly the white people. White people have held power for centuries. They have been on top for centuries. And now they are panicking. You will ask yourself, why are they panicking? It's because black people are rising up, and not slowly, but black people are rising up fast in business, in media, in politics, in art, in intellect. Across the world, black people are waking up, leveling up, and owning what was always meant to be ours. But here's the thing. Anytime people rise too quickly in a system that was built to keep them down, is a threat. That system will react with fear. And in this case, that fear looks like panicking. White panic. That's what we're going to talk about. And I'll give an example. We see what's happening in South Africa. Black South Africans are rising up so quickly, and white South Africans, white people in South Africa are panicking. White America is panicking because black Americans are rising up so quickly. West powers like France, USA, they are panicking because a country like Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, is rising up, and a lot of leaders from Africa are rising up too quickly. That's what we're going to talk about. But before we go down into that, I want you to watch these clips that I have featured in this video, and then we'll come back here and talk more.
There is a real reason why the white majority is running scared. why they're politically making a drastic turn to the right, why things like the insurrection in the US Capitol took place, right? And it's not only United States, it's across the world. White majorities realize that they are getting to be outnumbered at this point. And that's where social media comes in and other non-traditional media outlets. The fact is, they have to now get up in the morning and see our faces everywhere on social media and across some of the major news outlets now and the streaming services. And imagine if you have been the oppressor for so long, your voice was the only voice that was really being heard. Now you get up and you have to listen to those same voices that you have tried to oppress over the years. They haven't had to learn about us. We have had to learn about them. And they're finally having to learn and understand who a Black Indigenous person of color is, what Asian Americans do versus what Asian Pacific Islanders do. Imagine that. Finally, the tables are turning where they are having to understand our history. So let's use this little bit of democracy that we have, use it wisely to support ourselves, to explain our stories, and to inform people about our cultures. As Bob Marley said, the late great Bob said, them I got tired for see we face, but then can't get we out of the race. I'll say that for you again. Them I got tired for see we face, but then can't get we out of the race. And for my friends who are non-Jamaicans or non-Caribbean, you know what that means? They are going to have to get tired of seeing us. They can't push us out this time. This time our foot is firmly in the door. And they're going to have to get up and look at us now the same way we used to have to look at them.
And again, not to sound too conspiracy, but you know, white supremacy is a real thing.
Absolutely, I agree
right?
with that, yeah.
And their whole purpose is they fear going extinct, right? So
Always they fear.
Our genetic capabilities puts us in a position to erase them, right? So, you know, they established white supremacy through slavery. They maintain white supremacy through institutions and laws, right? They expanded through appointed leadership over those institutions, right? Then they refined it through media, technology, and food. So we're dealing with all these things, which is the whole goal is just to destroy us and make sure we're incapable of coming into power.
But the amazing thing is, I agree with you, the amazing thing about us is that we adapt and we always seem to overcome it, even though it's 95% that falls under that tutelage of what they set up.
That have been whispered in his ear about South Africa. Things like a genocide. There's no genocide in South Africa. Things like mass expropriation without compensation. It's not a single farm that's been expropriated without compensation in South Africa. Yes, we have some issues with crime and criminality, but these affect all of our citizens in the same way. And so what we need to do is to make sure that when important trading partners like the US are making decisions around their outlook, their trade, their positioning, that they're making it based on the facts and not the fiction. And I think that's going to be very, very important. And then, of course, I want more market access for South African agricultural goods. Currently, we can only get citrus into the US from the Western Cape and I think it's Limpopo. That means that 85% of the rest of our citrus production doesn't have exposure. I'd like to change that.
I mean, in your engagements with the agricultural sector, following the 49 people left for the US, what are the general farmers saying on the ground?
To the 50 Afrikaners who fled to the US, calling themselves refugees, you are not refugees. You are just a case study of white flight dressed up as martyrdom. You're not escaping violence, you're escaping equality. South Africa didn't chase you away. You ran. Yes, South Africa is one of the most violent countries in the world. Yes, brutality exists. But let's be honest, violence affects all communities, not just white farmers. Black, colored, Indian, and yes, white people are all targets of a national crime crisis. What we have is a breakdown in safety, not a white genocide. This is not ethnic cleansing, it's criminal collapse, and running to the US won't fix it. You are part of a 7% minority, but somehow still manages to control over 70% of the wealth. That is not persecution, that's privilege on a guilt trip. And let's be real, if we tried to relocate just half of the Afrikaans population, it would take decades, billions in logistics, and you'd still end up culturally homeless in a country that don't want your apartheid baggage. You're not brave, you're not victims. You're scared of a world where you don't get to be in charge, and that makes the rest of the Afrikaans community cringe, because you make us look weak. South Africa is broken, and it's our problem to solve. So if you don't have the spine to do so, stay gone. To every American who foamed at the mouth because I dared to speak the truth, I don't owe you an apology. America has never apologized for being the global blueprint for hypocrisy. Slavery, invasions, regime changes, and mass incarcerations, and to the Afrikaners clutching their pearls. The fact that my own community is attacking me with more rage than they ever showed apartheid shows the work I'm doing matters. And I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to expose you. I will not back off, and I will not tone it down, and I will never apologize for challenging cowardice dressed in nostalgia. If that offends you, good. It means I'm aiming in the right direction.
I love how you members of the MAGA cult always try to spin things to match your narrative. You know, the issue with these white South African refugees is not really that they're white, right? Because if they were white and they believed in equality and they believed in equal rights for everybody and they didn't want to take up all the resources for themselves and leave the black South Africans out of it, then there wouldn't be an issue with them coming here to the United States. But the issue is that they are racist white South Africans who do not believe in equality. And we're already facing a crisis here in the United States where black and brown people are being discriminated against, but white people who commit crimes are being applauded and invited in.
Yeah. There's about 200 Afrikaner guys. Like, what the fuck is that, dog? We are in South Africa. Take it from fellow South Africans. We've never heard of a genocide. These people are under a certain threat or anything. Otherwise, the whole world would have known. That is the very comment. Mara umuntu, the loudmouth in this scenario is your brother Elon Musk, which I don't like. Tons of money can oppress the brain to the point of a peanut size. Yeah, because I get why he's of South African descent. So again, at CBC saying Donald Trump Zolo. Yeah, this bullshit. Yeah, Boer genocide. You understand? We love Boer people. On this leave for yellow. Take it from us South Africans. We are like this. Different fingers, different natives, different mandates, different statutes, different ethnic groups. Yet we are like this. We are unified by one hand. That is why I made an example of the number plate, the coat of arms, unity in diversity. That's what's up.
Earlier this week, I preemptively said in one of my videos that black people were going to survive, that we were going to make it, that we were going to thrive no matter what this administration throws out. Like I just knew it down in my shondo, but this video right here gave me the historic context that I needed for that feeling, for that knowing that I had. Mel reminds us that one of the most vitriolic hate groups ever to be formed only formed after black people achieved our physical liberation, after the massive human trafficking event known as enslavement. And then Reconstruction happened. Black folks who at one point weren't allowed to read, educated themselves and each other, started running for offices, and started to win. And of course that immediately scared the bigots, who instead of fighting fair fights, have to do what they do. Instill violence, instill fear, chase people away, cheat wherever possible. Not much has changed. If we look a little later in history, we see the same playbook after the Civil Rights Act. And a lot of the hateful legislation that folks had to live with after the Civil Rights Act came in direct response to our people getting free of Jim Crow. The same Jim Crow that certain folks with the tiny mustache man learned and picked up from the United States and took back over to Europe and terrorized so many people. The hateful playbook, y'all. It's always the same. So that's why a lot of us aren't surprised at the rollback of segregation, the restriction of education, the removal of our history from being taught in school, the erasure of our heroes from government websites. We're not surprised, but we're also not upset. A lot of us know that when they start acting like that, they're not showing any might. They're not showing any strength. What they're showing is cowardice. Because how scared do you have to be to delete heroes of this nation just because they don't look like you? How terrified do you have to be to remove books about natural hair, black love, and black joy because they don't center you? But when you see efforts like that happening, it's a reminder of Black progress, that we've come so far and that we've done so much, and that we will keep going far, and that we will keep doing much. And all their hateful efforts do is just remind us that even if we don't know who we are, they do.
Yeah, all these white South Africaners or South Africans, whoever you want to call them, that Trump gave the free pass, the free food, the free this and the free that to, they're not facing genocide. Get that through your minds and understand it completely. Know what they're running from? Equality. They don't want equality. No, they don't want it because people are taking them to court to get the land back that they stole. Their land isn't being stolen from them. They're not being killed off. No, their land is being taken to court. And the court is going to make a decision because they stole that land. How is it that 7% of the population owns all of the wealth, all of the mines that they have on that property? Stop calling them farmers. They're land snatchers.
The KKK did not exist until Black people successfully escaped the physical chains of chattel slavery. But that doesn't mean that escaping the physical chains of chattel slavery was a failure and that white supremacy won. The KKK was created because white supremacy was losing. Mass incarceration didn't exist as we know it today until the civil rights movement was passed and Black people and everyone who helped us successfully defeated Jim Crow. The creation of mass incarceration did not signify the failure of the defeat of Jim Crow. Mass incarceration came because of the defeat of Jim Crow, but it does not, it does not invalidate the defeat of Jim Crow. When the first woman ran in the Boston Marathon, men physically harassed her all the way to the finish line. But her reaching the finish line and running the marathon in the first place is not invalidated by the backlash to her success. Now we have women of all colors, all nationalities, all religions, and all ages living their grandmother's wildest dreams. And what we are seeing is a backlash. We are seeing a rise in alt-right ideologies. We are seeing a rise in male rage, patriarchal rage. There is a backlash against the career woman. There is a push to return to this trad wife ideal where women were wearing the soft chains of marriage slavery because that's what marriage was originally intended for. But that backlash, this backlash that is happening, this attempted rise at fascism, because it won't take hold. It will not grow roots, I promise you. And that's a whole nother conversation about why it won't. But this rise of alt-right ideology isn't happening because we're losing. It is happening because this is the natural response to progress. Anytime an oppressed group wins a battle, the oppressors wage a war, but the oppressors never win. In World War II, leading up to World War II, the average German citizen was piss poor, broke as hell, because of everything that happened after World War I. They blamed it all on Germany, which really wasn't fair to Germany, to be completely honest with you. It was a whole thing. We won't get into the historical nuances of that.
Welcome back. Across the globe, we are witnessing what I call the global Black awakening. Black people are no longer asking for a seat at the table, we are building the room. We are building the tables. We are building our own. We are not asking anymore. In Africa, particularly places like Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa, black entrepreneurs are redefining the continent image. They are building companies, starting film studios, launching green energy vehicles, and we are leading the charge in innovation as black people. Now, in the USA, black millennials and Gen Zs are starting businesses faster than any other group. We are buying lands, we are investing in stocks and launching brands and writing our own stories as black people. In art too, in fashion, sports, we are there as black people. When you talk about in the entertainment world, we have names like Beyonce, Rihanna, we have names like Taylor, Perry, Issa Rae. They are not just entertainers. They are moguls. They are owners. They control what gets produced, who gets paid, and how the culture moves. That's black people. And this is power. This is ownership. And this is exactly what white America or white Western world has been fearing, or they fear the most. Now, let's take the case of South Africa, because that's where this point all was coming. A country where white people, who are only about 8% of the population, still own a lot of land in South Africa and the economic power in South Africa. Now that black South Africans are organizing, building, and reclaiming what was stolen, the white population is growing more, or the white population is growing more and more uncomfortable. Right now, they are seeking asylum in USA, saying that they are being targeted. Talk about land redistribution. They say it is unfair. Mention economic empowerment. They call it reverse racism. But for centuries, the system benefited only white settlers. Only it was on their side. Now that the tide is shifting even slightly, they feel like something is being taken from them. They are not comfortable. They are seeing that it is reverse racism, but it's not. And this, it's not a revenge to the white South African. It is about restoration. It's about bringing back what belongs to the people. And this restoration feels like a threat to people who only know privilege. White people in South Africa aren't angry because black South Africans are failing. They are angry because black people are winning, and they are winning more and more politically, economically, in either side. And that is the core of the panic. Now, let's come back to the United States, to the black Americans and to the white America. Here, the panic is embedded in the system itself, because the system, from policing to politics to economics, was designed to keep black person in a survival mode alone. But now, we are pushing survival. Black people are building generational wealth right now. Black people are educating themselves. We are learning. We are educating ourselves. We are unlearning the lies, reclaiming our heritage, and keeping our history pure. So, what does the system do in response? Get that? Let's break it down. What does the system do in response of black people trying to renovate themselves? Now, economically, black businesses ownership is rising, but so is gentrification, redlining in new forms, and banking discrimination. Black people are creating wealth in new industries, and suddenly the rules are changing. The law that are being kept is not the law that is helping a black person. When black people started winning in crypto, they rushed in with regulations. I know you don't know that, but let me just give you that example. When black people created a niche in the market, they started copying, buying us out. In criminal justice system, even as crime rates fall, black people or black men are still targeted and inculcated, like mass inculcation. Policing isn't about protection, it's about control. They want to control the black men. Mass inculcation isn't just about punishment, it is panic management. I don't know if I'm talking sense. I don't know if this message is getting home. I'm talking about the white people panicking because of the rise of black people. In education and culture, they are banning books. They are banning histories, banning books about black histories. They are attacking critical race theory, even though it is barely taught in schools, because if you control what people know, if you control the mind of the children like they did to African, they controlled the mind of the younger ones. King Leopold II sent the missionaries and told them, don't go and teach this message to older people because they already know what's happening. They already know they have their God and everything. Go and teach this to the children because they won't revolt. And that's why they are doing banning history books in schools so that our kids does not know the real history. And they don't want the next generation to know the truth of what's going on. Now, if you control the people, you control what they believe. So, what does the white panic actually look like in practice? Let's talk about that. What does the white panic look like? It is political commenters screaming about wokeness. It's media narrative blaming DEI, diversity. It's about diversity, equity, and inclusion for every national problem. It's online personalities trying to spin black excellence into some kind of moral collapse. When we excel in music, art, they call it ghetto culture, but they are using it. They are getting money out of it. When we sing our hip hop, they call it ghetto culture, but they are using and copying it. The trends, black trends going up, white people are using it to get money out of it. They say things like DEI is running the workplace, wokeness is killing the military, Black Lives Matters is a terrorist organization. But when you look closely, what they are really saying is this: we are not used to being challenged. We don't like seeing black people thrive without our permission. That's what they are. That's the point they are sending home. And the louder they get, the more obvious their fear becomes. Because when you have been on top by default, equality feels like oppression. Black people rising isn't a threat to a society. It's a threat to the white dominance. Black people rising up is a threat to white dominance. I give example of South Africa. The white people in South Africa are feeling insecure because black people are rising up in political, economical, and land reforms. They don't want black people to own these lands. But for us, that is freedom. Freedom from so many years of oppression, so many years of owning nothing, so many years of slavery and colonization. So what should we do with all this panic? How should we respond to it as black people? Here is how. What we should do: we don't shrink, we don't apologize, and we don't explain ourselves. Let them panic, let them scream, let them protest our progress, because their panic is proof that we are on the right path. Their fear is evidence of our power. Their discomfort is the sound of change. And this, my God, this isn't about supremacy. It's not about, it's about sovereignty. This is about reclaiming what belonged to us, or what was stolen from us, and building something greater in the place. Black people are not rising too fast. We are rising right on time. It is time. Even the Israelites, when the time came, they rised. And they were not slowing down. We ain't slowing down. Even if they disrupt our unity, we ain't slowing down. So, to all systems and all people who feel threatened, just know that this is not a threat. It's a beginning of something bigger, shifting of power and everything. We are just getting started, and we are not slowing down as black people. Whatever is happening in South Africa, it's not a bad thing. It's just shifting of power, and just a set of people are being threatened by it. Now, let me know if you love this commentary, what I've just said. Tell me in the comment section what you think. Till next episode, peace, power, and unity.